I'm going to digitize a 5-pointed star using column or satin stitches. I've already imported my artwork into the design view area, and I've selected the Digimouse button from the layer tabs at the top of the screen. I'm going to begin with a simple lockdown. Here, I'll turn on my control points so that you can better see what kind of buttons I'm using to do this. The simple lockdown is just a series of white buttons, and then I'll continue with a very basic underlay of a series of white buttons or straight running stitches that go from the center of the star out almost to the end of each point of the star. I'm going to use my zoom in tool to enlarge the first arm of the star that I'm going to digitize. You'll find that as you digitize or do editing, you'll use your zoom tools and your scroll bars a lot to enlarge just a certain area of the design that you're working on so that you're better able to see. I'm going to begin the first column sequence with a white button and continue it with a series of blue buttons. I'll do the next point and begin the column sequence with a white button and continue with a series of blue buttons. Once again, I'll travel down to the end of the point of the star with white buttons and begin the column sequence with a white button and continue it with a series of blue buttons. Once again, I begin with a white and continue with blue, 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 blue buttons. Now for the final point on the star. I begin the column sequence with a white button and continue the straight column sequence with a series of blue buttons. Now I'm finished, and I end everything with a lockdown consisting of a series of white or straight running stitch buttons. Now I'm going to turn off my Digimouse and I can do a little bit of editing. There. Now let's just take some time to look at how, when I began sewing out the points of the star, I didn't go out to the very end of the point, because if I did, that would have resulted in very short stitches and thread breaks. Also notice where the individual segments meet, I overlap them. That's so when the columns pull in slightly because of thread tension, they don't become separated and leave an area of fabric showing through. And also notice how in the middle, I didn't bring the column segments to meet in the middle. That's because they'll push together because of thread tension, and I don't want an area in the middle of the star that has 5 overlapping column segments. That would result in a very dense area and thread breaks. I'm going to select the Zoom to Fit window and turn off my artwork. I can select the entire design and go to Transform to set a size for this star. This style of digitizing would work well for a star that was to be sewn out anywhere from about 1/4 of an inch to a little over an inch tall. So I'm going to enter a height of 25 millimeters or 1 inch. I'm also going to set the color so that it's a white star. The density for a star about a ½ inch tall would be about 0.4. These measurements used for density actually refer to the distance between individual stitches in tenths of millimeters. So the lower number for the density, the higher the amount of stitches per inch that will be sewn. Here's some suggested densities that I use.